Now, here's your hosts, the League Dad, Kevin, Mitchell, and Alistair.
What's up, gamers, and welcome to another episode of the All In Podcast presented by Excellency Esports. I'm the League Dad, and I was just telling these guys right before we hit record, is that I want to keep this more casual, and I feel like I've been too formal. I'm like that guy that's like, you know, too strict on format and all of this stuff, and I just want to have a conversation with my buds about League. And so, as always, I will no longer say my co-hosts, but my friends. My friends Mitchell and Kevin. We've done this 3 years now. I think we've moved to the level of friends, right? We can say friends now instead of co-hosts, right? I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, you want to keep it casual, but you said 3 years. I feel like we should start getting serious, League Dad. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a long time together, and
I like
you
it.
still want to keep it casual after all these years.
Well, I'm all for casual in like the tone, but I'm serious when it comes to blowing this thing up. So if y'all are listening right now, thank you for your continued support. It's really awesome to have people who listen every time, because the more people we have in the conversation, the better. Kevin, you're all situated in California, man. How's everything going over there on the West Coast?
And awesome. Great food. We had a power outage. It rained for like 40 hours straight. Lots of fun stuff happened in my first 2 weeks here. But I got to meet a lot of cool people, so I'm having a great time over here.
Nice.
Yeah, there was a storm. That was crazy.
I heard
My power
about
got
that.
knocked out too. Yeah, it was wild. Definitely drivers in San Jose, where I am, they don't know how to drive in the rain at all. Oh my God. 3 of my coworkers and friends, they got into car accidents. Like,
Oh, no.
over the
Oh
weekend.
my
Yeah, it
gosh.
was bad. So.
I heard that they actually got, what was it, like I forget how much worth of rain in like 1 or 2 days that should be for like 6 months or something like that. I forget what it was. It was a lot of rain apparently.
Yeah,
So, but glad you guys are okay, other than a little bit of power shortage. Hopefully it didn't interrupt too much League. But we got to talk about Worlds, man. It is a sad day because I want to be positive, but it's a sad day because C9 is officially out, which means NA is out. Let me just throw it out there. I mean, we can collectively mourn. I do want to say some positive things about our boys, but right now is the time to mourn NA's exit from Worlds. How you guys feeling about that?
I gotta be honest. I think watching the series was more disappointing than just like going up and looking and seeing a 3-0, because so many of the games, C9 was actually ahead.
I
in
know.
multiple instances, and I think 2 out of the 3 games they were ahead 4,000 gold and a bunch of dragons with a decent team fighting comp. Game 1 they like came ahead. Game 2 they were ahead from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Or Game 3 they were ahead from the beginning. Game 2 kind of just exploded.
Yeah, that was a
but
non-factor.
in general, it was just like, dang, we almost put together a couple of wins there, and we just couldn't bring it across the finish line. I think that is more disappointing to me than just getting stomped 3-0 or something. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Dude, I'm on the same boat. I had the same feel the whole time. I was like, I almost would rather us just get stomped and then not have hope. There's just so many games where I'm like, dude, we're doing so well. This is like unthrowable. And then it just like slowly devolved into like the saddest mess. Honestly, like it's so strange because if you win like one of those games, like this is very revisionist and what if, but this is how series works. Like if we just close out one of those games, maybe you have a little bit more confidence and you don't tilt and you don't make mistakes, or you like put pressure on the other team to draft weirdly to react instead of saying like, oh, they're bad, so we don't need to react. All in all, still better for us that NA put up a fight. I think NA put up a good fight, and that is better than some of us expected, I think, going in. So
yeah, I mean, I think I think I disagree with you guys on the sense that I'm actually really glad that it was close. It was heartbreaking, and you know, you look at the score sheet 3-0, you're like typical NA year, no problem. But like you said, especially in game 1, we definitely should have won that game. Game 2 was a wash. Game 2 was definitely them recovering from that game. And then game 3, it was like, we definitely could have won that as well. But definitely game 1, man, that should have been a win. But here's the thing is that, again, like, the fact that we were close shows improvement, much better showing this year than last year, whether you want to say other teams got worse or whatever. And my only concern is that, man, it just seems like this whole tournament that I've been watching, when it comes to both of the Western teams in NA and LEC, I just feel like they are not as disciplined when it comes to playing consistent, playing steady, even when behind. Like, C9 again, they were up in that game one, and you could tell that, like, it didn't really. Gen G was just playing, slow, playing it steady, and we're able to find a way back. But I don't see that with NA teams or even LEC teams this year. I see, like, once they get behind, it's very difficult and very rare that I even see them, make a comeback in that sense. Do you guys feel similar, or what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think like in an extent, yeah, it's hard for like the Western teams to make a comeback in because definitely like the Asian teams, they're just more disciplined about like choking them out and like
Yep.
not having weird throws. I think but even in game one, you did see like C9 got that big ace, and then they got Baron, and then I think they got Soul Point all in one
Mm-hmm.
instance, and then that was kind of like their beginning of the comeback. It was really that once they had the lead, they didn't know how to push their advantage
Yes.
without somehow getting wiped, being up in gold. Right? It
Yeah.
happened game one and game three. They're
Mm-hmm.
up 4K, and they got wiped being up 4K. It's like they don't know how to like cleanly start fights or like cleanly like push their advantage. Honestly, I really just gotta blame just like whoever their engages, which is usually Vulcan, or
Oh
Blabber, I
yeah.
guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
No.
they're just
Yeah.
going for really bad engages. I
Yes.
think it was what game one, Vulcan he hex flashed over a wall or something. Hook
Mm-hmm.
missed his hook as Nautilus, got like three of his five teammates like baited him into dying.
Holy
There goes your 4K gold lead.
yeah.
So that I think that's where it is, where it's like they just don't have the discipline to like make the right engages, or
Mm-hmm.
just don't engage, just sit on the gold lead,
They
right?
do. Yeah.
So, um, maybe make the other team do something desperate. Like they're not patient enough to maybe let Genji's not a great team. They're not a perfect team.
Mm-mm.
They're gonna make mistakes. You could have just sat there and let them make a mistake. You could hold on
Yep.
to your 4K. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's just so
and
many
and I
things.
think
Yeah.
I think maybe like that's the worry too, because like when they do have the lead, they don't want to make a dumb mistake and throw it, but then that causes them to be too passive in a sense where they don't choke out, they don't, suck the life out of the other
Yeah.
team and
You gotta find a middle
basically,
ground.
yeah, war of attrition, just bleed them of resources and eventually just overrun them. And I think that's the problem, is that either they're not confident enough in their ability to do something like that, or they're too scared of the backlash that's going to happen if Blabber or Vulcan make some kind of play and you're like, what the heck was that? And it's a throw, and you could arguably say that that's what happened here. But I definitely agree. What do you think about that, Kevin, as far as play styles between East and West?
I think that like the meta that we had coming in, just whatever the patches were, ended up being, just did not suit the Western teams as much. Like it's easy to say after the fact, especially because we did much poorly. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, less than like 6 months ago, and I'm just like, we were playing fine, and that meta was a completely different meta. It was Udyr, it was there was Morgana jungle. I think there was Rumble. Like those
Yeah.
were played. Like I think the stat was like over 100 times during MSI, and you saw
Hmm.
how we performed there. Like even NA took a game off Don Juan Kia, and Mad Lions almost won game five, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Yep.
get to the Mad Lions point later, but the point is like I don't think it's like as monumental of a fall of the West per se. I think it's a combination of the meta and the fact that we did not have a month to boot camp in Korea or China this time around
Mm,
Hmm.
ahead
That's
of time.
true.
I think that a lot of the times you see G2 and other teams just power up during that 1+ month boot camp where they can get adjusted, where they can get good quality practice, not get trolled in EU West or NA or wherever, like lesser solo queue experience. And
Yeah.
you see like a lot of players rise up and like look better than they did during the regular season. You also see players fall off, but that's a
Yeah.
different point. It's just like I think that contributed more to the downfall than like our infrastructure. I think NA sent their best teams they've ever sent in a long time. Not just
yeah.
because of record, but just in terms of like, hey, like we looked competitive. Like
Hmm.
Liquid took a game off every team in their group. There's a FPX win and an EDG win under the belts of the other two NA
That's
teams.
true.
You could argue it's not a big deal after the fact, but like still like
And
not a
then
small task for NA.
it begs to ask the question again, which we won't talk about now, but I just want to throw it out there. We can talk about this later. But again, if our teams are that close, like it, because it is close, I would say in competition, there's just that, like I said, that consistency and that discipline that you see in the Asian teams, and I think it is due to just having higher competition
Yeah.
all the time. It's like, yeah, they're playing against the region's, the world's best teams, but for them, it's just they've been playing high quality opponents. Even their lesser teams are still pretty good, and so when you see them, like they just have more reps in with good competition, teams that won't mess up as often or whatever. And so when it comes down to these situations, even if they're a little behind, they're so used to it. It's like, it's just it's like another day at the office for them. And I mean, I think that's my thoughts on that. And how we fix that's a whole nother discussion, but wanted to
Yeah.
throw that possibility out there. But here's a little game I'd like to play then with C9. And it's kind of riffing on who do you think was the best player for C9. I would say for the entire season. You could say even this year, but the series or the entire season, whatever you want to do. And then who's the one that's worse? So essentially, who would you sort of promote as MVP, and who, if you could, who would you kick off because it wasn't
On
working?
C9? Oh
C9.
god. Who's the best and who's the worst? It's so
That's
easy
what
to
I'm
say,
saying.
like they're all bad, but they're all good, because
Yeah.
it's like you really can't say Blabber. You can't, right?
No.
Blabber's had some such pop off performances,
Mm-hmm.
even in group stage too, especially. But you just can't say Blabber if you take the whole year into account.
Yeah.
And then when you think about it too, it's like, can you say Perks? I don't even want to say Fudge, right? It's definitely not the bot lane for me. So I think I'm gonna go with maybe Fudge. It's really tough to be the best. He's definitely been the least inty of all the
Yeah.
players. By far the least inty. But probably the least playmaky, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
he had that stint in Summer Split where he really was dominating for like a good chunk of Summer Split. But
Yeah.
then he just kind of became consistent, right? Couple solo kills here, couple decent team fight performances. But never really inting lane, but also never really carrying games either.
Mm.
But so I'm gonna go with Fudge there. Worst player. I mean, Alistair isn't here to represent, so I'm gonna say it. I think it's Sven. I don't like
Okay.
Sven. I think Sven had some good times, especially during playoffs and during MSI. But towards the end of MSI and definitely towards the end of Worlds, he he's played pretty badly.
Yeah.
I would definitely say in this quarterfinals, Sven was playing pretty badly. So those are my
Okay.
two picks. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Kevin, what do you think?
Clearly, Blabber is the best player all year,
Convinced.
obviously, not just
Okay.
at
Yes.
Worlds.
Yeah.
So more seriously, I also have a little bit of recency bias too, because Zen I think almost solo lost games 2 and 3 or 1 and 3 with his
Yeah.
positioning. I think
Mm,
maybe it was 2 and 3, maybe it was all of them. It was
yeah.
just there's so many iconic moments where he's just standing out somewhere and getting caught out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of it's the team not facilitating him to be safe, but part of it's just like, why are you there? Like people are if you watch the co-streams, you're literally watching people like 10 seconds before disaster be like, why is he there? Or like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
5 seconds before disaster, right? So that's just like really egregious. He doesn't make as obvious mistakes like in early game as often. So like it's weird, but like if you're just like at 30, 40 minutes, like there are AD carries who shine in that position, right? Like Gala, like
Yeah.
LWX, like
Yep.
what's his name? Like Ghost. Like they're just people who are like, hey, they aren't great at laning always. They sometimes are really good, but like
Mm-hmm.
you need a reliable carrier. We fed you all these resources. There's
Yeah.
a reason why Uzi is like considered so high or like seen so highly, while like some people who choke like Duff sometimes in like very high pressure situations aren't seen as highly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not because they're not good players. Like they probably are just as good, but your positioning when like you're the whole like the key win con is
Yeah.
is
That's
everything.
Yeah, that's
ADC.
everything.
That's like
Yeah.
your time to shine. 30, 40 minutes. You are one of the strongest champions in the game at that point.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then so the best player unfortunately is Fudge because everyone else just was not consistent enough. And he was just
Mm-hmm.
the least inconsistent. He
Yeah.
wasn't the
Yeah.
best playmaky and he didn't have the highest highs, but he was the most consistent. He's even got solo kills on Korean top laners like at this
Yeah.
tournament and Chinese ones. So it's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
But I think he needs to not to be the most inty because everyone else is inty. So I think he feels the need to be more stable as a
Yeah.
result. Or else like it's not good.
His grave mechanics are not good either, guys. His Lee Sin, real good. Graves,
Yeah.
For
Mm-mm.
how
Yeah.
much money he had, he could have definitely won some of those bets. To be fair, he's
Yeah.
probably panicking because like everyone's dying like
Yeah.
around him, dropping like flies.
That's true. Yeah, I remind me that whenever Alistair is able to join us again, that we'll give him a specific like 2 minute block where he could just go off on Sven and like all the
Yeah.
things that I'm sure Alistair was probably like just wondering what the heck was going on. But is there any final thoughts on our boy C9 that you want to talk anything about Perks and his 11 million?
Roster changes.
Okay,
What
go
do you
ahead
guys think?
with
Does
Roster
C9.
anyone need to be
changes.
dropped? Does everyone? I don't
Well,
think so.
and that's kind of why I
Who
wanted
needs
to
to be
play the
dropped?
game because like I said, yeah, who would you drop in this sense? And
I would drop
you
Sven. Yeah.
Sven, yeah. So I
I
mean,
would drop Sven. If C9 could get the problem is Sven, there's this trio, right? It's Perks, Sven, and Mithy. This is the old G2
mm-hmm,
trio that's on this team. Mithy is the coach, for those who didn't know.
yep,
And so I wonder like how much atmosphere Sven brings, right? Remember when they kicked Sven off for a little bit of summer split and then he came back?
mm-hmm,
And they kind of just stayed the same and no one actually thought they were going to make it to Worlds. And now here they are at quarters, right?
yeah,
So Sven obviously he did something for the atmosphere, but
mm-hmm,
they could find another ADC who fits into the culture and the atmosphere, but is just better, a better
yeah,
player. I
right,
think that could really make this team something special because, yeah, Sven is he's just not it. Like, honestly, his best play was on Ziggs when he was just chucking bombs from a mile
mm-hmm,
away because it's so hard to be out of position on Ziggs.
yeah.
Tell that to Lost, man. I
Yeah.
remember playoffs.
I let's not
Uh,
bring up Lost.
I didn't even say what team, man.
I know
I try to
it's
keep
fine.
it subtle.
It's cool. It's cool.
So for me, I think it's probably Zen, not because he's bad. I think he could excel on another team with a different support. But I
Ah,
think that they need.
I don't think
Eh,
so.
that's actually he was bad on TSM too.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
maybe we've given him enough high tier teams.
Right? Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not terrible though. I think he's at least above average. I
Mm-hmm.
just think he might not be able to get you to like Worlds performance clutch carry sort of.
Yeah.
Even like Turtle has looked great at Worlds before.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Sven has not as much. What else I would have to point out is mid jungle, like one of those, not both, and not neither, but has to be one of those because there's so much raw talent there, at least in the jungle. You could say
Mm-hmm.
Perks maybe is not good anymore, but I would argue that like Jankos had always made Perks look great, and
Yeah.
like you just
100%.
need someone to facilitate Perks or someone to facilitate Blabber. And
Mm.
I think this team could be killer, right? Everyone's playing, the couch coach, like money
Yeah.
balling, trying to figure out who the best is. But at the end of the day, it's very obvious that they just don't mesh. These guys aren't a good match, and I think they
Yeah.
could be good elsewhere. Blabber could go to Team Liquid. No, please don't.
I
But like
don't think they're going to
something.
get rid of Perks. That's for sure. They just spent an arm and a
But will
leg
they
on
get
him.
rid
So.
of the best singular best NA talent, native NA talent?
Yeah. It's
Like I
hard to
don't
really
like
get rid
Blabber,
of
right?
either.
But would you get
Yeah.
rid of someone in a position that's hard to get an import
Mm-hmm.
for as well?
It's
Traditionally,
really hard to
junglers
want to get
don't
rid of
import
him. Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You
It's
have to get an EU jungler, and like there's so few who would want to leave their teams right now. Maybe Blippo or something. But he would go
That's
top,
true.
so I don't
I,
know.
Yeah.
I honestly think if they could fix that, they would. But because they're an NA and because of how much money they are and the position you described, right?
Hmm.
Blabber's native, 11
Yeah.
million perks. I don't think they're gonna
Neither of
change
them.
it.
Yeah. Neither
Yeah,
of
I
them are
don't think they
going.
can. It's gonna be
The
way
cursed
too hard for
duo,
them.
dude. They
Yeah,
should, but they probably can't. You're right.
yeah. I mean, but if you think back to G2, right? Perks and Yankos in their first year. Oh wait, but Perks was never. He was never mid when
Yeah.
he
He was a
first started.
bot laner.
Okay, it was Caps. All right, so never mind with that analogy. But still, like Perks and Trick, right? When Trick was the best
Yeah.
EU jungler, their first two worlds, they really pooped the bed, right? They
Mm-hmm.
they went like 1-5 or something. The first groups, next groups, I think they went like 2-4 or something. So they didn't make it out of groups their first 2 years on G2. So it could just be a thing that takes time for Perks and
Mhm.
Blabber to like really make it
Mm-hmm.
because you could kind of tell that like Perks he didn't have a great year, but you saw those moments, right? You saw those instances, especially like on Aurelia and LeBlanc, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
this guy can definitely carry games still. He
Yeah.
will into you the games, but he will also carry them. And it's like, if he can just put it together, maybe not take NA like such a joke this year. Maybe we see 2018 perks again, right? Maybe we see
Yeah.
that same mid lane player. Um,
I mean, for what
I
it's
don't, yeah,
worth, say what you want, $11 million. C9 was the last NA team standing, so
I
Yep,
mean, C9
uh,
also had a worse record at Worlds than the other two NA teams,
yeah.
even with all
that's
that
true.
saying.
That's true. They
So,
They
got
went
lucky with
two and
FPX.
seven, three
mhm.
and seven, 2-7 or something like that. Like it's not great.
Yeah.
They got lucky with FPX, but they at least grabbed onto the luck and beat out the European
Yeah,
competition.
they
So
took the opportunity
They
that
yeah
presented
they beat
itself. Yeah.
the third seed.
I mean, Rogue on paper, Rogue's team has more talent than like Mad Lions or G2 or Fnatic. Like that is a scary team if they were all playing like
Hmm.
If
well.
they didn't have the worst, they didn't have rogue time where it hits 30 minutes and they just
Rogue
all lose their
time. That's
brains.
so
It's
bad.
actually
They all just lose their
hilarious.
brains.
Oh my
But that's we
gosh.
don't need to give Rogue that much lip service. I think that Perks showed his worth to some extent, at least, like in those LeBlanc games and the
Yeah, I
group stage.
agree.
Like he literally won games, but
Yeah.
he also almost lost that game. But the
Yeah.
point
Yes,
is, like,
that is
just
true.
imagine there's a little bit more stability elsewhere, either in the AD carry, who's usually the Rock, or the jungler, who can get you to that point where you
Yeah.
can't throw the game as hard anymore, right?
He
You just need
Perks.
either.
I'm just remembering game two against Gen G. Perks literally solo lost them that game by just dying like I think four times
Four
in mid lane.
times. Four
Four
times
times.
unanswered.
Two just Lee Sin ganking with crazy Syndra stuns. The
Yeah.
third one just jumping into a bush. I'm sure there's a fourth one. Like, holy guacamole, Perks did not want to live in game two.
That
Yeah.
was a
Um,
hilarious game.
yeah, I think last point I want to talk about that Kevin briefly sort of mentioned was like BDD gave an interview
Hmm.
where he grouped all the Western laners, not
Oh.
just Perks, not just like Mad Lions who he played in his own group, right?
Yeah.
Western solo laners are bad at laning. Period.
Wow.
Yeah, their laning phase is not even close, right? You think back to what Kevin was saying about we didn't have a chance to
It's
boot
true.
camp in
Hmm.
Korea or China for a month. Our laning phase did not improve, and you went Korea, China, they just get to hold on to it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they're just gonna lose. Sure, honestly, if we all boot camped in Korea and China, their laning phase would probably get a bit better, but like we just didn't have that opportunity really.
Hmm.
And you could definitely see it, right? If you think back to like Showmaker, he's just bodying humanoid in the first
Oh my
5 minutes,
gosh. Yes.
landing every single Syndra Q. Like that is just straight up lane dominance. Like
Hmm.
you can't buy that. You can't like
Oh,
that's like
you can buy that. You
I
just can't
mean
buy it for long term.
you
Yeah.
can't
Here's
buy
the
it for long
price.
term because those Koreans they play in NA and then their mechanics go to
Yeah,
crap
exactly.
because they're
Yeah.
playing in NA. So look, it's like that stuff is like, oh my god, that is just pure talent. Like you can't just like figure that out. You can't just like go to a spreadsheet or something or like
Yeah.
think how do we not throw this? It's like they're just better at laning. They just get CS
You
leads. They
know,
just
maybe if we
lane
get enough
pressure.
imports that come in, no, that won't work. I was just gonna say by the time,
We need better
If our
ping.
region
yeah,
just
this
it just
Yeah,
we just need better ping at the end
we're
of the
just
day.
we're
better
just
ping and better
going
laning.
around that circle again of
Yeah.
like how to improve the, yeah. We need better
We should
ping.
just
All
have
right.
like a permanent list in the podcast
I
of
know.
like
This
our
is
bingo
every
board
year.
of all of
Yeah.
our reasons, and then just check it off per episode.
Or
And
if it
then
ever happens, and see
oh
how
my
long we've been
goodness.
saying the thing. All right, well let's move on because there's some other games I want to get to. One quick note is that all the series went, clean sweep 3-0 except for the one with RNG and EDG, the two Chinese teams. So that means
Yeah.
every Korean team swept their opponents.
Yep.
And
They did.
again, they T1 played Korea, but Damwon and Genji had both Western teams. But is LCK looking good, man? Like, I mean, they're doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
they
don't know.
are.
What are your thoughts? We could talk about any group, whatever Korean team you want to hit up first. It's up to you guys. But I mean, what do you think?
Um, I
I don't
think
think T1 versus HLE is even worth talking about,
I know. I
honestly, other
mean,
than it was a disaster to watch.
I kind of want to say one thing. There was
yeah,
a ton of rumors in the community about how HLE was actually like smurfing scrims
really good. Yeah,
and
I heard about that.
destroying
I
everybody.
did hear about that too.
Hmm.
And they honestly they draw anybody. Well, okay, so there's four Korean teams, right?
Yeah.
So very very unlucky for them that they had to draw another Korean team. But
Hmm.
I promise you, if HLE if they drew NA or EU or even China, we might have seen HLE just really show their true form. But it
Mm.
just seems like whenever you have a team with Chovy and Deft on it, and they face Faker or Showmaker or Candy,
Yeah.
they face the actual
Uh
real goats of their region.
huh.
They cannot stand up to it. Like Deft has been losing to Faker his entire career. Honestly,
That's so
so is
sad.
Chovy. Chovy's been losing to Faker
Oh
every
man.
finals. Oh my God, Griffin is so good. They made it all the way to finals. Oh, they lose to this SKT.
Well,
Oh, they
Def,
lose to DRX. Oh, they lose to yeah.
I mean, Def beat Baker at MSI and on that KT Super Squad in 2018, so he's got 2 wins at least. I have no
True.
idea if Chovy has ever beaten anyone in a final. I actually don't remember if Griffin's ever
Mm.
been first seed. Have they once?
No,
Maybe.
they've been first seed twice, and they
No, like
lost to.
one
Oh no
LCK.
no no.
Sorry, first seed going to Worlds,
Yeah,
the
first
one that
no
matters.
they've been sitting in finals waiting to win, and they've always lost to SKT. They
That's
got
so
3-0'd,
sad.
I think, twice and 3-1'd another time or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it's been actually tragic for Griffin.
I
They
mean,
just
we're
lose
not
to
an
Faker.
LCK podcast, but that LCK format was garbage. I think we can agree
Yeah.
that it was always so bad. Like, why is the finalist like not favored to win? Like that makes no
It
sense.
makes no sense.
It
Yeah.
worked for Danwon.
It
Like whenever
worked.
Danwon is first
True.
seed, they just 3-0 their opponents like so many
Oh, that's
times.
true. It does work for
Yeah,
Day One. So maybe it's just a
yeah,
Griffin problem, not an
yeah.
LCK format problem.
It's
Mm.
just it's just a team problem. I think there's like that debate where like some teams they like to warm up and stay warm and stay hot, you know?
Hmm.
That's why Cloud9 they always go through the gauntlet and for some reason
Yeah. Do
they always
well.
do the best, right?
Yeah.
There's other teams where it's like they don't want to stay warm, they don't want to show their cards. They're ready to go. They got the strategy down. And I feel like that's Danwon, right? Like Danwon, I feel like if you make them play a huge gauntlet of games, maybe they get tired. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how you beat them. Make Danwon like convince them to play a ton of solo queue right before their matches start typically.
Yeah.
Get them tired.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jesus.
I like that
I don't
tactic.
know. How do we beat them?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited that T1 is, I'm a Faker fan. I'm just a fan of all the
Everyone's a
vets.
Faker fan.
Yeah, everyone's a
For real.
Faker fan. I mean, and the fact that he's returning, and I don't know, maybe they turn on a switch or something, but man, they got a hard road because they got to play Damwon next. But let's talk about Damwon real quick. Like, in their matchup with Mad Lions, I mean, what do you think? Like,
I was just gonna say it. I can't believe they won that one game where Mad Lions was up like 10K.
I know! Dude,
Like,
how tilted must they have been after that?
BS right
That
there.
is some. I really
Like,
thought we were going to see their first loss.
I thought so
That's-
too. Con was like 0-5, man.
God.
That is the
I'm so off the Jarvan train, man. Like I will.
Me
say
too.
LPL team picks for a long time. 'Cause as long as it works, right? But
Yeah.
that Jarvan, every time he took a kill, I was like, this is a doomed game.
Yeah.
They're up 10K.
Mhm.
This is a doomed game, and it was. It was so frustrating to watch. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I mean, they also fumbled. Like he got the lead, right? You can't argue Jarvan got the lead for them. The problem is like him taking those kills was like soul wrenching.
Yeah.
I was like, oh
Yeah.
no.
As soon as he died and gave over the shutdown, that is when you just lose the game. That is when it's the same thing with like I think newer Lee Sin is not really like that because Gore Drinker's so broken on him.
Yeah.
But older Lee Sin, it's like you just see him. He's 10-0. He's 11-0. He gives one kill,
Yeah.
1,000 gold shutdown to like an important person's like, all right, you guys just lose.
Yeah.
GG.
It's true.
You might be up 9K, but
Mhm.
you lose. That's definitely what it felt like. Like Mad Lions had the gold lead, like basically almost the
They
entire
did.
game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just they just couldn't close it out. That was the like strongest 0-5 Kennen I've ever seen in my life. Like the most game deciding 0-5 Kennen.
I mean, he had
Flashes in
some.
there.
I know he had some good ults though.
like,
That
what
was
is
pretty.
He was playing really well. Like
The
I
the,
was
vi-
looking at him.
the vision around like Baron was so key. Like when he had that flank underneath blue, I was like,
Yeah,
man,
flash over the wall.
that was perfect. Like. I don't know, like all of that vision control is pretty interesting to watch right when those objectives spawn because that's so important. You got to keep track of that, especially, I mean, that's what Kennen does, and he'll single-handedly win the fight even if he's behind. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to them. Kevin, do you have thoughts on any of Damwon?
Yeah, just like briefly, like again, this is just like the C9 series. There are
Yeah.
games where they look competitive. Mad Lions, like I'm going to like make the meme for a long time that LEC did worse than NA this year because we gotta beat.
We have
can't
to.
Beat last place in the major region,
Yeah,
right?
you're
Like,
right.
We won't have PSG, but we'll like say we
Yep.
can't be last place, right? So we're ahead of EU this year. Come on,
Exactly.
gotta give us that.
Yep.
There were some key issues in this team. Arma is just incapable of playing some of the other characters when given
Mhm.
Yeah.
like even when given resources, that game they were up like 7, 8, 10K, whatever it was. His Jace looked almost useless. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 05 Kennen was like scary, and Jace was just like not hitting shock blast, not gaining lane advantages, and they weren't playing with their lead well. So like the writing was kind of on the wall there. Humanoid had an off tournament. Like, he was supposed to be like the next coming of like EU mids, right? One of the best in EU, but he just wasn't good enough. He wasn't terrible. Like, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't good enough. I think Karzi and Kaiser's had some really weird missteps during the bot lane too. Like, it's been a while since we've seen a Worlds, because like there's been since 2018, there's been all this parity right between our region where we're like, hey, we can at least lane. You know, the gap isn't as big there. But it looked like we just forgot how to lane. Like, I think it's product of having MSI and Worlds in EU. We just have not had good practice, especially if you didn't even go to MSI. You didn't get to scrim good teams. So C9, I guess, doesn't have excuses, nor does Mad. Other than that, Armut might need to either learn other characters or get replaced. He's just plays like 2 characters at a Worlds level. And his Wukong in Game 3 wasn't even good enough to do anything. So, like, it was just pathetic, honestly.
It's supposed to be a good matchup into Jace, right? You just kind of...
I thought it was.
It is. You have to just, like, not get completely crapped on in the early game, and you hit 6. Jace doesn't have an ultimate, right? You just 100 to 0 him repeatedly whenever your ult's up. It's a pretty straightforward matchup on Wukong, especially with, you know, your clone. You can bait out the JC and stuff. It should be a very Wukong favored matchup once you hit 6. So I think you just played it poorly. I think it's the same problem with Alfari that I have is, these players are really good on like 3 champions, right? Like,
it's true.
And then did you guys hear the what the Mad Lions owners had to say?
Oh, the drama. Well, I heard he wasn't actually an owner, right?
It was a streamer who had some stock, so he thought he was an owner, but I think that guy has never taken an economics class in his life.
Yeah. He didn't know how it worked, but still.
Like, you own part of a company when you have stock, but I'm not saying I'm an owner of like Intel or something, right?
Yeah.
I don't put, especially not on a profile. Like, on my Twitter,
it's pretty dumb.
That's just silly.
But it was still spicy, and it was fun.
It was very spicy. It was essentially, to those who do not know, that Alyoya and Armud and Humanoid or whatever are being held back by Karzi's very poor performance. He's got to go, yada, yada, yada. He's the reason why this team couldn't make it. And it's just like, you don't say that if you're an owner, but I guess he's not an owner.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of not true, right? I really felt like Karzi, he obviously wasn't the better ADC in the series or in a lot of instances, but he didn't play awfully, right?
Yeah.
He had some good moments, he had some bad moments, and it wasn't like a Sven to me where he's just kind of just doing nothing and then pops up and just dies immediately, right? I feel like Karzi definitely has potential to still be on this team and still be the best European team potentially going into next year, but we'll see. I think in terms of Danwon, they're mortal. Like, I know they haven't actually technically lost a game yet, but C9 almost beat them, I think twice.
Yeah.
And both their games that C9 played Danwon, they were so close to losing. The game was close the entire time, and Rogue almost beat them in groups, and then Mad Lions almost beat them. So they will lose early games, and if you guys, some teams, obviously we're just going to all Korean teams now, so it doesn't really matter. But if we had another chance to play Danwon, if we could clean up our late game, we can beat Danwon. We have the ability to take it in the early game.
I believe, man.
Canyon played his best champion and one of the best champions in the patch, Lee Sin, all 3 games, smurfed his mind off, and they still almost beat them in one game. So
I believe, man. It is very disappointing. And like I said, like, it's hard to sometimes gauge the score, the scoreboards, the wins and the losses, because it's true, that's what matters in the end. But I am really proud of what we saw as far as performance wise. I was very surprised, and I know if Alistair were here, he'd probably say, oh, it's because the meta allows games to, be kind of long in this way or that way. But whatever it is, man, like, I'm just proud. I feel like in terms of competition along the whole scale, I was genuinely interested in seeing every matchup because anything could happen, and stuff almost did happen, and we're right on that brink. So I'm very proud of that. But let's talk now. The only region we haven't really mentioned yet is China, and it was EDG that was the best series to me. EDG versus RNG, 5 game series. I really wanted RNG to win just because I want to see. I kind of want to see Gala, like rise up because it's Uzi's team, and like to see them win with like another young ADC or something like that would be pretty cool. Plus, Yahoo is pretty awesome. So, uh,
I th- I think yeah, I think that series was really exciting to watch. I'm actually slightly afraid for EDG in that I don't know if they're going to be able to beat Gen G. Like they
mm,
should, right? LPL first seed, Korea third seed, they should beat Gen G, but I'm a little nervous about how those games kind of went about, and also
mhm.
how second week LPL and groups kind of went about. That maybe the region, their mid laners are too weak, and Scout is probably the best mid laner that went to Worlds from China, right?
Mhm.
So at least they have that. But man, like Cryan was really bad. He played Annie and Malzahar and
I
stuff or
know.
something. No, Scout played Malzahar. He played Cryan played Annie. Um, we saw some of the other mid laners from LPL also really struggle in this tournament, and you have to wonder if it's like the meta has changed so far from roaming mids to all year mid lane's the worst role. Mid lane doesn't matter. You just
Yeah.
roam, you shove the wave, you go help your jungler, the real OP role.
Mhm.
I feel like mid lane's like a really strong role right now. All of a sudden, what happens? And oh man, I guess China's just not known for their good mids, right? Doinby
Yeah.
didn't show up, and Knight's not here, so
Or
I don't
rookie.
know. Or
So
rookie, right? So
Yep.
maybe BDD just has a field day with Scout. I'm a little
That'd
worried
be
about EDG.
interesting.
I did predict them to win, but um, yeah, it was a really fun match to watch. But whew, those early games, man, from both teams were just
Yeah.
like these guys are just freaking running around like headless chickens. So
Yeah.
yeah, they were taking turns basically bashing each other over the head. There was only one game that passed the 30-minute mark. Okay, so like
yeah.
that
That's
was a
true.
fun series to watch in a sense, but like it was by no means clean, and it was the picks I think off across the board were also kind of dookie. Like I think Yumi won like won the series for them in some ways. So
Yeah.
Yeah, what is up with that?
it's
Not
so
banning
annoying.
Yumi. Oh my
Three
god,
It
it's
got
so
through
big.
games.
so many times,
It lost
man.
once, but still,
Yeah.
3 games it got
Two
through.
wins and one loss, I believe it was, or two
Yeah.
losses. Actually, it lost twice and won thrice. Twice.
Well, with Yumi, it was 2-1, two
Yeah, yeah,
wins,
two.
one
Yeah.
loss. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like getting confused between the bands and the picks when I'm looking on Games of Legends.
Yeah.
Anyways, for that series, I think that I wanted RNG to win too. It's the team that's supposed to like inherit Uzi's will with the Gala and stuff. I know that Uzi's still alive, first of all, and two, I don't think he has the
I know.
and like if we had to get into drama, I don't think he has the best relationship with RNG, but like just
Oh
kind of for
wow.
the history, right? There's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
the whole talk about like how there are 17 Koreans in semifinals right now because there are 2 Koreans on EDG as well. Like
Hmm.
this
Yep.
would have been like, well, at least there's a team out there that doesn't need Koreans that can actually, compete. I still think RNG could have competed with the other teams, but not with their week 2 performance if they had kept it on. We have no idea if this was just 2 week 2 LPL teams bashing each other over the head,
Hmm.
or if they got it back together and they were playing at a reasonable level, right?
Yeah.
Um, LCK, they got their stuff together. I think that they forced the meta to their will, kind of like 2018 IG. It's like now it's not about roaming mid lanes if you can't lane well. It's about lane well and then use your big lead in mid to roam,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
what LCK teams were doing super well.
Kill the
Um,
enemy mid laner, right? Don't
Right.
go elsewhere and kill the other laners with your mid laner. You kill the
mhm.
enemy mid laner to
Hmm.
unlock your mid laner. Like it's a little different now. Yeah. Yeah. Poor
Yeah,
perks, man. Oh my god.
do you guys think that so something I noticed was like NA teams, a few EU teams were using Jarvan a lot as well. Do you think
Yeah.
that they scrimmed the LPL teams a bit more and thought that that was the read going into this tournament? Because like it sure felt like there was a big divide between certain teams
Yeah.
picks and like the LCK teams picks. And
I
they
Hmm.
seem much similar to LPL, where there's like focus on Jarvan, focus on like certain characters like that. Mostly
well,
Jarvan's when it comes to mind.
I'm not sure because I remember we kind of talked about it right after groups was
Hmm.
that very first day and first week, only the NA teams and Korean teams prioritized Yumi first pick, right? And other teams
Yeah.
let it through. Other teams didn't prioritize it. Sometimes it got picked on red side instead of first pick blue side. when an NA or a Korean team wasn't in it. So I
Hmm.
feel like NA teams did scrim Korea a lot, and maybe it's something like J4 is a scrim god, right? Kind of like you kind of fight a
Yeah.
lot more, you're a lot
Mm-hmm.
looser, you get
Hmm.
your EQs more, but then once things kind of tighten up in a real match, J4 just can't find those level 2 ganks, they can't find those really early kills, or you get into a game and you do find those early kills, right? But in scrims, sometimes you see you're facing a 10k deficit, you just kind of give up.
Yeah.
But in a match, you don't give up, right? The 10k deficit can be overcome. You just gotta kill the J4 once or twice and get
Mm-hmm.
that bounty, and then
Mm.
boom, J4 is a useless champion. So, um, that's kind of my
That's a
thought
good point.
on it. Yeah.
And honestly, I
Um,
still don't know why. Like, it just doesn't look good whenever
every
I
time.
see it every time. So, I mean, again, they've obviously found some kind of use for it. But I like that theory of what you're saying because it's definitely a different environment when they're scrimming and when
Yeah.
its nerves are on the line. Get this is for all your tournament life. So there's a lot more pressure and hitting those skill shots are tough, especially when you're trying to hit other professionals who are like so
On zero
programmed to
ping.
dodging
Yeah.
those things. Yeah,
Yep.
zero
Yeah,
ping.
on zero
So
ping. Or
very,
maybe
very.
were they scrimming on zero ping or were they scrimming on like
Mm,
I don't know what tourney round ping
There
looks
should be a
like.
yeah,
tournament realm. It should have like 10 ping or something, depending.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the Jarvan difference right there.
That's
Everything
probably what it
else.
was. Um,
Hopefully.
Well, let's go ahead and preview then our upcoming semifinals. So on Saturday, October 30th, we have Damwon versus T1. So let's talk about this matchup. Get your predictions. Get your thoughts. I mean, I really wish it was like T1 versus EDG. Actually, do you
Yeah.
want to talk about the format real quick? I know, so Mitchell, you
That's
wanted to talk
fair.
Yeah.
about this format a little bit. So before we preview, and I'm ranting a little bit about the format because if it had been different, maybe we see a different bracket here because T1 has a hard road, I think, to get to the finals. But anyways, talk about the
I
format a little bit.
Yeah, the format has been a bit of a bummer for a long time now
Yeah.
in that you get these weird instances where they're like team kills, right? Korea killed Korea, China killed China, or there's like instances where you get two really good teams play against each other and knock each other out. You have crazy awesome
Mm-hmm.
quarterfinals, right? Think back to IG versus KT back in 2018.
Yeah.
And then you have on the other side you have Fnatic just duking over Edward Gaming, C9 duking over Afrika, and you have super boring semifinals. 3-0, 3-0, finals
Mm-hmm.
3-0, right? And it doesn't make for the most compelling format because Fnatic made second place that year, right? But very
Yeah.
clearly KT was the second best team and
Yes.
they only made top 8. And it's going to be a bit different this year, right? Where the quarterfinals were a bunch of stomps, 3-0, 3-0,
Mm-hmm.
3-0. And then semifinals are now going to be really hype,
Yeah.
but there's still a chance that Genji is the weakest Korean team left. EDG is not looking too hot. We see a really crazy semis, and
Yeah.
then we see a 3-0 in finals, right? And it just doesn't lead to
Are you
having the
thinking?
best player win worlds,
So are
really.
you thinking that whoever wins the Damwon T1 series should be the favorite and
To
the
win
winner
the
of
whole thing.
Genji and EDG?
Yes, I
Okay.
think these are the two best teams by far left in the tournament, and they meet in semis.
Ooh, I'm
Sometimes they
excited.
meet in
I really
finals.
want T1 to win, but we'll talk.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk. But let's talk about that because where you how you feeling about the matchup? I know Damwon is undefeated at this point,
Yep,
but do you
they
think
are.
T1 has a chance here, Mitchell? What are you thinking?
I want T1 to have a chance, and I feel like if like it's all about the rookies. If they can really
Oh, I'm
pull it
so
together,
excited.
they
Yeah.
can feel the vibe, and they can just stick. Because I honestly think T1 drafts better, and T1 when they're playing calm and collected and not like
Mm-hmm.
owner running around with his monkey head off, like they play more consistently. The late game macro and the early game cleaner. I
Yeah.
actually think they do almost everything better than Danwon, except Danwon is just way more clutch. They just
Yeah.
like they'll fall over, they'll stumble, they'll make a bunch of mistakes, and it just does not matter. They're too clutch. They will come back into it. They will
Mm.
always find a way to get a crazy team fight 10k down, 8k down, 7k down. Um, but their drafting is way worse. I feel like Danwon they draft just kind of comfort. They don't really pick good team fighting comps or good identity comps, um, and they just play their best champions and they make it work. Where
Mm.
I do feel like T1 they tend to build really substantial team comps where it's like they have very specific counters laid here and there, a lot of synergies built around. Um, and I just think my final prediction is that T1, with all of that, the rookies are still going to choke on the big stage, and Dan1 will
That's
be too
rough.
clutch. They'll draft worse. They'll have worse early games. Dan1 will kind of play with their food, and they'll still win in the end, I think, because their players are just so much better, in the other roles at least. So
And experience, yeah.
and experience too,
Yeah.
right? Dan1's been kind of dookie. They have the overconfidence of just we are so used to beating T1, it's not even funny.
Oh
Like
no, yeah.
Showmaker does not have that fear instilled in him that Faker puts in all the other mid laners in LCK.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kevin.
I'm kind of. I wish I had a slightly different opinion, but on most of
I
the
know.
parts, it's about the same. Like I don't think that one is great in a lot of ways. Like you dropping 10k gold, the mad lines we saw at this tournament, is not good. Like the fact that they threw it away is just as much on them as like Khan making an insane play or damage being overtuned on this patch or whatever, right? Or this year in
Yeah.
general. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I think that one's like not. They have shown a lot of weaknesses. Like even C9 got leads on them, and C9 was having like, I mean, C9 couldn't close that against them either. But
Yeah.
it's just like they have not, arguably speaking, they have not hit a test yet. They've basically just been just like breezing past relatively easy teams, and the Mad Lions almost beat them twice.
Mm-hmm.
At least one of those games, or definitely should have been a win, right? So I think the problem is that we saw T1 get absolutely styled on in the finals, like only like 2 months ago or a
Mm-hmm.
month ago in LCK finals, and like it was a 3-1, but it was a 3-1 where Dama was trolling the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it was maybe Dama will still troll the draft here, but when they're trolling the draft, they still win pretty convincingly, and that means that like I can't really give it to T1 even though I want T1 to make it through. So I think Dama also goes through. Probably a 3-1.
Ugh.
Again, Faker might have one really godly play that we remember him for, and we'll be talking about it for a while. But there's just too many rookies, guys. Like, Tom won Worlds with this roster plus Khan, and Khan's playing like maybe the best
He
second
Oh my
is
best player
god.
on
playing
the
really
team.
good.
He is playing so
He's playing
freaking
really
well.
good. I gotta
The
hand it
amount
to
of-
him.
Showmaker was doing well in lane, but like I don't think Canyon's been playing like godly or anything. But I
Yeah.
think Khan has been playing really well.
Oh
For
my
his
god, dude.
position.
I've never seen him play this well. Ever.
It's crazy
I don't think
because
he's
he's
never seen himself
yeah.
play this well. He wants to get an award so he doesn't have to go to the military. Is my like, headcanon.
Yeah, he never shows up like when it matters, and for some
Yeah,
reason
they've been
he's
making
Yeah.
fun of him for like 4 years or 5
Yeah.
years of King Zones and Long Zoos and whatever
Oh my
he's
god.
been on.
He's
Oh,
actually the
jeez.
choker, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my god, he's
I
crazy.
mean, I want to look, man. I'm going with my heart on this one.
Do it.
My old man heart, rooting for the goat himself, man. Like this is, I think everything you guys said is right, but my gut says that it's got to be Faker, man. This is his hurrah, man. This is, I'm gonna say it now too. I think he's gonna go. He's gonna unlock himself. Right. This is veteran status, and he is like, I made it this far. We're not losing. We're not losing. That's what I'd like. That's
more years than Don one's like four.
the whole.
four
Yeah,
players
exactly.
combined.
I mean, and here's what I envision. I envision him in the room with his rookies, giving them some passionate speech about I've been here, I've done this, and he's gonna motivate them so hard, man. They're gonna be like, all right, senpai, lead us to victory, right?
Senpai.
And boom.
Wrong language.
I think it's Hyung or something.
Oh, it's Young. God, I'm so bad. Anyways, the whole point is that they're like, yes, Goat Master Faker, you will lead us to victory.
Yes,
And-
Master. Give us the goat milk.
So
Let us
that
drink from.
so there's
No.
let us drink. We're gonna have to have some. We need some other words to describe this
I
man.
really don't like that goat is the way to describe like
Nah,
the
that's
players
just-
of
I
any
know.
sport or game. I just think that there's just like there could be a better actor.
It just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't go right. You know,
doesn't convey the sense of
And it's not
how-
even like-
About,
it's not even a scary
Unkillable Demon
animal.
King.
There you
I like
go.
that.
See?
Unkillable Demon King.
Unkillable Demon King. Look,
A little on the nose.
all
but-
I'm saying is that none of that has anything to do with analytics or nothing, just gut feeling, man. And I'm rooting for him. So I'm just going to say it just because, probably the right answer is Damwon, but come on, let's spice things up. I'm going T1, man. T1.
It's fair too. There's a lot of rookies on this team, right? And that is something that we can give advantage to Danwon, but is also something that you can give to T1 is that their potential is nowhere even close to being found.
True.
We don't know
Exactly.
what these players
That's
do
right.
in the absolute peak heat of the moment. They
Mhm.
may have not shown up in finals in LCK,
Yes.
but they already knew they were going to Worlds, right? It kind of can take some flame out of you once you like, oh, I made it to Worlds. Oh, thank goodness, we did it. Okay, now we got to go play finals, right?
Yep.
It can
Yeah,
take the
exactly.
fire out, but this is elimination for the rest of the year. This is what people will remember your rookie year as. You made it to
Yes.
semis. Did you beat Danwon, right? So maybe some of these
It would
rookies
make for a
aren't-
great narrative. So
Yes, it would.
I mean,
Yes.
I think everyone wants Faker to win. I think somewhere in Dawan's heart, if they lose to Faker,
They'll be like,
fair
okay.
game, man.
like sure
you
thing.
deserve it. If he wins fairly and everything.
Yeah.
But I think he deserves a documentary. I mean, he deserves one.
Heck
like,
yeah.
He would deserve like a Last Dance kind of documentary if
Mhm.
he wins this. Like,
I agree.
it's so far past his prime in the sense of like when you talk about like those legendary runs he used to have, right?
Yep.
And the
Faker
fact that he's
wins
still
this-
competing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh
There's
my
literally no
God.
other players from that era who are still competing on that level, like unless Uzi comes back, right? Like there's
Mhm.
literally no one from that era who's competing
Yep.
on that level. There's Impact, who's like maybe one or two tiers down from. No, okay, maybe one tier down from Faker. At Worlds, like he's probably like one full tier down, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no one from season 2 who's still even like remotely, or season 3 who's still remotely is relevant, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Like I can't think of anyone.
The closest is probably Deft, and he made it to quarter. That's the farthest he could go, right? Like
Was
when I
Steph
think of it,
active in season 4? Is when he started, or 3?
season he won. Oh, season 4 on. Or
Yeah, because
he didn't win. He was on Samsung
squads.
Blue.
He's on Blue, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Okay. So he
4.
hasn't. He's
So no
4,
one from
yeah.
season 3 besides Impact and Faker are still
Yeah.
active, until Bjergsen comes back.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Well, I was gonna save it to the end, but you teased it a little bit because I definitely want to talk about that just for a hot second. But
Either way, I mean, Faker's the
Yeah.
GOAT, guys. Like
The GOAT,
we're
man.
not gonna. There's
If
like,
he wins this, it's like he's the GOAT for a very long time.
no,
Like,
I can't even see anybody overtaking that. I don't know, man. Like, because I feel like
okay. If Showmaker wins the next 10 worlds,
Okay,
after
yeah.
Faker wins this one.
All right,
I
all
think
right,
he's
all right,
the GOAT.
okay.
But,
it's
you
just
know?
so hard. I just say that because it's so hard to imagine. First of all, getting back to the finals, getting back to Worlds, even like, I mean, the fact that they T1 and Faker did it back to back, that already to me qualifies him as the GOAT. Like nobody's ever done that. I don't know. Yeah, so if I even see like the fact that Damwon is has a chance to be in the finals again, it's very, very, speaks well of them. So, yeah, I mean, I just think
this
it's
is the finals. To
Yeah.
many people's eyes and opinions, this is the finals, and he basically made it, right? Like,
yep,
yeah, it's not literally the finals, but we talked about the flaws of this format. These are the two best teams by many analysts' point of view.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hope it's a good
It's
one.
gonna be good. I hope it's good.
Faker had the biggest gap between him and his like next closest mid laner when he was at his peak. I will say that Uzi had a longer period of just gapping people because even when he retired in season
Yeah,
9 or 10 or whatever
still
it was,
good.
like he was still gapping people. Like every time he showed, I was like, why is this man making
Yeah.
50 to 100 CS leads in modern League of Legends where like so many BS mechanics have been taken out from like how you used to be able to
Mhm.
make giant leads.
Yep.
So if Uzi could actually win like 5 worlds, I think you could give him like a different lanes goats at least at the very least.
Yeah.
But he's not even playing, so it's like it's really hard to say.
It is definitely hard to say.
Faker-
we
I
should
gotta
we
say,
should do
Faker-
that sometime though, like a roll by roll. Maybe at this point of league, who are the goats in each
I
position?
mean, I will say like there's a very clear example in CS:GO. You do not need to be a winner of world championship levels things to be the
get
GOAT.
that, yeah.
Like, Simple, I think, won his first major recently. This man has been the GOAT of CS:GO for like 4 years. He never won any major before that.
Yeah.
But like he was just so far and above everyone that like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it
Like,
doesn't
just
matter.
because you can't get a good team around you doesn't mean you're the best player of all time.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We should come up with that maybe on an off-season episode or something.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
that'd
down.
Be neat.
I mean,
Okay.
it'll be pretty easy for number one, but we can have the heir apparents, the tier right under.
Yeah,
That's a spicy
I would
area.
love to see that. Yep. Okay, let's talk about Edward Gaming and Gen G. You guys were saying that you think Gen G could have the edge
I
here.
didn't say shit.
I said it.
Okay, Mitchell said.
You got
Hey,
it.
Kevin was
I
like, "Not me, man. He's not looking at look at me." All
I
right.
am have very middling confidence in the LPL this year. I
Okay.
do think that
FPX
EDG
messed you up, man.
FPX really messed
Yeah.
me up.
Really messed me
Stormy's the
up.
best player in the world.
I
He's gonna
know.
win the whole
I mean, he
thing.
was. We can't be revisionist, man. Watching
I
him
know.
before that was not the same player.
Yeah.
Oh
He
my
like
god.
his wife like took him away, and then like they put a double in, like someone just to
Mhm.
Yeah.
sit in as like a stunt
They
double.
didn't first pick
It's.
Aurelia a single time. It was there and ready to take,
I
and they
think he
did not
played it
first pick.
once, and they never
Yeah.
first picked it, which is so
Mm-mm.
strange because they were
Just
so good
take
on it.
the Aurelia. It's broken and it's Doinby. Just
Yeah.
take the Aurelia and just camp the crap out of his lane. Like whatever. Okay, this is not
Yeah.
the topic, guys.
Yeah.
It just hurts, man.
It just
This is gonna be
hurts.
the topic. Like EDG might win MSI, sweep everyone for a whole split. We're like, or not EDG. FPX might do that. And we're just like, but remember Worlds
Well,
last year?
remember? Yeah.
I mean, TSM got the same treatment even when they were playing well. We're just like,
Yeah.
remember Worlds last year, even though we were at NA.
God
06?
dang it.
Omega Low?
TSM again. Okay.
Yeah, EDG versus Gen G is definitely going to be the lesser of the semifinals, but it will be very entertaining, right?
Mhm.
Because what makes it entertaining? Both these guys got some real crap macro in the mid and late game. Like, oh my goodness, these guys do not know how to close games out.
Yeah.
I will say they do know how to drag games out. If they're in a losing position, they will drag it out. They will find picks. They will do something crafty and
Mhm.
creative. There's so much burst available in the game that if you have a mythic, you will blow some people up. It's
Yeah.
just when you have the lead and you're trying to close it out and convince people you're a good team, they do a very poor job of it. I think shoutouts to Flandre for being the only non-Korean top laner in the tournament and in the semifinals left.
Wow.
This guy honestly had a pretty rough performance on Graves. But
Yeah.
he made it here. He's a Chinese top laner, I believe. So that kudos to him. Last thing I will say to sort of put down EDG a peg is that they got Yumi a ton, and they're not gonna get it again.
Mm.
They won with Yumi. Yes, they did lose also with Yumi, but no way Genji gives over Yumi, and it was incredibly close even with Yumi, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna get Yumi again, and I think yeah, I think Genji is just gonna have such a powerful laning phase. Like the only lane you have to be afraid of really is Viper, and he's not exactly the most lane dominant. So
It's true. Okay. What about you, Kevin?
uh, yeah, I mean, what I'll throw out there is that EDG has an average game time of 30 minutes and 40 seconds this
Mhm.
tournament, while Damwon has a 34-minute average game time. So, like, at least Damwon has been tested or at least forced to come back from, like, much longer games. There's that to say. I will say that this is probably the best path EDG could have taken. They needed to first, like beat up on one of their countrymen because they know they can do that at least.
Mhm.
And it was a close game. And Genji is the easiest Korean team left. Like we're not gonna like pretend that they're like on the same tier as T1 as Dawn. All
Yeah.
right, and Dawn. So like if they win this, it could be a confidence builder. They could actually be like, hey, we're like good again. We're like playing like we did in the LPL. We beat a Korean team. We can do it again. I would love to see an EG T1 like 2015 come full circle. MSI. Now
oh
we have
my
the
god,
final like
Oh wow.
Scout versus Faker. Like he's like
yeah,
finally he gets to actually show up. I will go through it real quickly. For EDG, Fondre is basically to me he's kind of like Gimgoo. He's been around for a long time. He's not the best player on this team, but he's not terrible. He's
He's
actually
not terrible.
had splits in certain metas where he's actually one of the best top laners.
Yeah.
He's been on Snake Esports for a long time, and that's the team that spawned people like SOFM. And
Mhm.
I think
yep.
Angel was on there too, and like there's that team has been like always on the cusp of going to Worlds, and you just haven't heard of the players on there because they didn't make it. So don't underestimate him. I mean, he hasn't played that well this tournament, so maybe underestimate them.
Yeah.
I think Gen G, if you look at their performances versus how EDG performed against RNG, like I still think Gen G is weaker. I think that they were playing. Genji was playing against, unfortunately, even TL's in that note, but like they were just playing
Yeah,
against
NA
pretty like
teams.
easy-ish competition on the way
Mm-hmm.
up,
Yeah.
and they looked worse in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I think yeah, EDG beat DFM, so that's not hard, but they had to go against T1, 100 Thieves, RNG, and mostly the
Yeah.
RNG thing makes the difference there.
Yep.
I think EDG at least understands that Yumi is a pick that needs to be picked or banned, so they have that in their arsenal. That will actually help a lot as an LPL team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We never knew if EDG was better than T1 or not. Like I think T1 had a better game two, but there was never a game three, thanks to NA boys. Um, but they're still 1-1 against T1, which is not a small feat
Yeah.
considering how bad LPL looked in group stages. So of all the teams left, EDG is the best chance for something, I guess, relatively more exciting to happen. Honestly, it's not that different if
Yeah.
LPL wins or LCK wins, and that's coming from an LPL fan. Like they both like mingled so much and scrimmed so much that they're like similar tiers. Unfortunately for the West. I think EDG will win. I think it'll be a 3-1. I think, or I want to say 3-0, but I think it'll be a 3-1 just because they're a little shaky. But I
Mm-hmm.
think EDG is still the better team. They have a lot of firepower. And, like, in my mind, firepower goes a long way when you're just, like, really nervous and you're just, or not
Yeah.
even nervous. The stakes are high and people are getting a little bit loose and fast with it, right? Like,
uh,
and let's be real. In every competition, people don't play perfectly. That's why we watch competition.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, I really am sick of like reading threads where like, oh, that was a Con Fiesta, or like, oh, Mad just like played so not perfect league. That's why they lost. I'm like, no, that's what competition's about. That's why it's
Yeah.
exciting because we don't know what will happen. Like so
You
far,
never. It never happens in any sport. That's why you watch the games at
Yeah,
all.
they're
It's
yeah,
humans.
just.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're humans.
Yep.
If we want to watch bots play against each other at the highest
Yeah.
level, we can have a Doom bots tournament and see
Yeah.
how exciting that is. It won't be
Yeah.
exciting.
Might as well just
So
flip a coin. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think JJ on EGG. That guy's really good.
Mm-hmm.
His mechanics are very up there. So
Yeah.
Chinese junglers in World Finals kind of show up sometimes. So they
it's
they might not
true.
even be
Definitely
that good
do.
all the way up till then, but like Tian and then especially
Ning,
Ning, like Ning getting
SOFM.
Yeah.
MVP, FSOFM, like even though they didn't win, like that guy was a beast. He went beast mode, and no one can
Yeah.
say otherwise. He is
Yeah.
Vietnamese to be fair, but like. Holy
Yeah.
moly, there's just like such weird jungle performances in the finals, specifically the finals. So
Yeah.
BDG makes it could be really exciting. And I think it would be the best finals, unfortunately, for everyone involved. Like if Genji makes it, even if they deserve it, like they're gonna get schlacked by
They're
Yeah.
whatever
gonna
They'll
get
get
team
schlacked.
they're on the
destroyed.
other
Yes.
side, right? Like Genji could be objectively the better team than EDG even after this the semifinal, but they would still be the worst team to go up against whoever's on the other side of the bracket,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
really cursed. We need
It's
double
matchup.
Elim.
Yep.
So
It is matchup based.
for the sake of us having an entertaining finals, we're rooting for Edward Gaming. I'm just kidding.
We do.
We
Yeah.
should do.
Yeah.
We
It would
should.
just be
Yes.
better because
I
It
we
would be
see
think
more
Genji
interesting.
versus all these teams like eight
yeah, it would
times
not be.
now.
Yeah, it would not be fun. And again, I think, anyways, to have two different regions battling out the finals, that's always more fun. Because we just don't want to see a repeat of what the region's already seen. So, but I have to agree with you, Kevin. I think for what you just said, they had better competition. I think EDG had better competition, and I do think they've even through their mistakes have looked better. So don't need to go into a long thing. I think EDG is going to take it, maybe
Wait, one
3-1.
last note about Genji. If
Yeah.
you didn't know, Genji stands for Generation Gamer. It's an awful name for a team. I don't think Edward Game is a great name for a team either, but Generation Gamers is cringe.
So for that reason
I
alone,
learned that recently, and I was like, "What? Why would you name yourself that?"
for that reason alone, they must go down. Hey, real quickly, anything you want to talk about in the meta? Like, do you think that we're so kind of into it now that we won't see any more variations or anything crazy? Or do you think that there could be a pocket pick? And if you do, who do you think that is? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Pocket pick. Interestingly,
Or
I
just
mean,
anything different? Like, do you think we'll see
yeah.
any different? Because the meta has been pretty much set for Worlds. Does any team risk trying something and pulling a trick out their sleeve?
I really wonder if anybody will start playing more Annie because Cryan had to be
Right.
one of the worst mid laners in this tournament, and he could have played really well on Annie.
Yeah.
I
Like
thought Andy looked good, man. I was gonna
Yeah.
Annie looked
put more into it if
pretty
we talked
decent
more
there.
about EDG RNG, but Andy's good. Maybe,
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe.
it's hard to say if anything will happen in that area. I I don't know. I've been saying this from our very first podcast, and it looks like that Lulu is the Yumi counter if Yumi does go through or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for a Sona, because Sona does actually, in all intents and purposes, outscale Yumi.
Yeah.
So maybe EDG they first pick Yumi. Genji's like, all right, we got it. We're gonna
We
flash
see
pick
you.
Sona, baby.
Yeah.
But it seems like everybody just thinks Lulu is good enough, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
another enchanter. It's a bit more lane prio. It can roam and stuff a bit better than the Yumi. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I would be fascinated to if someone built a comp around Sona, and it would be like a weird support hyper carry, kind of like Yumi is, but just better because you got
Mm.
AOE heals and AOE
Yep.
buffs. So I'd be
Nice.
fascinated with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Kevin.
if if a pocket pick will happen, it's going to be game one semifinals. That's like the tradition, right? They
Right.
pull out
Right.
the MF support for the first time ever. I mean, we've
Yeah.
already seen Pike, Annie. Like we've seen some weird stuff. Like I
Mhm.
Aatrox
guess,
mid. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Like there's just been so many odd picks. So it will happen. I have no way of guessing what it will be.
Okay.
To me, like if you pull out Tryndamere at this point, that's already a weird pick because he like fell out after
Yeah.
play-ins and week one. Week one with he was played a bit and he fell out.
Yeah.
So I want to see it. I think it will be seen. My guess is that if Yumi is left open, it's a bait, and that they will put something in special to handle it. It could just be Lulu, but I hope it's something nice and fancy, like I don't know, Poppy Spray. I don't know if that works. By the way,
Yeah.
I haven't. I don't play bot lane. Yumi's disgusting. Please delete that
Yeah.
character.
Yumi is
It
disgusting. I
is
mean,
very
some fun
disgusting.
stuff that we have seen already is Poppy Jungle is pretty cool. That's a
Yeah.
neat one. I didn't
Yeah.
expect that at all. Fiddlesticks too from Rogue. That was a neat one too. So we could see some weird stuff. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen more Yone. I thought we were gonna see a bit more of it considering how powerful that champion is. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, and there's no Seraphine either. There's no Senna, which usually those are kind of maybe come on through when you
So
have this weird enchanter meta. So
now Tryndamere had kind of it fell off because when we saw it, it pretty much you could see it just got shut down. It wasn't able to do what it because when you're in a coordinated effort, the teams are just too good at kiting and negating his ult. But we still see J4. And so my question now is, do we see J4 moving forward? Because J4 hasn't been doing well either. And even in the games, like with Mad Lion, when they were doing well, they still lost. So do you think we still see J4 or, is he really that good that we're not seeing something? Or are teams finally going to be like, all right, you know what? It's time to put him down.
we're gonna still see J4 for sure.
Okay.
We're 100% still gonna see J4. It's because like Lee Sin and Xin Zhao get banned almost every game,
That's
right?
true.
Like, the next best junglers do not have CC or utility, right? Then you're all the way down at Talon. You're looking
Mm,
at like, um, Poppy, right? So if you
yeah.
want early game prio with CC and utility, J4 seems to be that pick, right? You could do a Graves jungle, right? But sometimes you just need gank
Yeah.
assistance. Um, you know, Kiana, I don't know, maybe we see more Kiana with really good Kiana players, but for some reason it's really fallen off in priority.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, I can't say. It's just been such a weird meta,
Yeah,
if
it
we're
really
being
has
real
been.
here. So who knows what will happen? I will say that I'm surprised that we've been seeing so much J4, but the prio on Thresh has completely disappeared.
That's
There
true.
is zero, there is very little Thresh, and when we do see it, it does not do well.
Maybe
So
maybe people are just good at. Are you talking about in response to J4 or just in general
well,
for
just in
Thresh?
general,
Yeah.
Thresh was the highest prio, I think one of the most high prio champions in the game for like for almost this entire year.
Yeah.
It fell off when we went towards a more enchantery meta with like Yumi and Lulu and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been nerfed a bunch and it's just kind of disappeared. But yeah, Thresh absolutely destroys J4. It's
Yeah.
not even remotely like that is the worst matchup out there. Thresh also destroys Lee Sin too. Thresh
That's
like
true.
completely ruins those two champions.
Yep.
So I've been surprised that we haven't seen it, but maybe it's just because of that bot lane sort of enchantery. Like these players are too good at dodging hooks, and you just kind of get out sustained and
Yeah.
lose. Also, Thresh has just been nerfed a ton. Very squishy champion right now. So
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Okay. Kevin, do you have any thoughts on J4?
Yeah, two things. All the Korean teams who are left combined have played J4 three times combined.
Okay,
EDG
so
has played
probably not.
J4 three times so far. So like, we'll see it if VDG. It's been actually, to their credit, it's actually been being banned by Korean teams and other teams. So like,
Okay.
they probably see it as a threat too. Whether or not you can bring it to fruition is like a different question. But I think it has it's 10 wins and 13 losses right now with a 73% presence. It's not terrible
Hmm.
considering some bad teams also get J4.
Yeah.
Thresh has only been played by 3 times by Carrier on
Yep.
SKT,
Okay.
and so it's never been played by Gen G. We probably won't see it, and then Jarvan, relatively speaking, will do better then as a result. We will see it. I think J4 still isn't terrible. Like, I've been memeing on it, but I think it's more so the teams have just not closed out afterward. Like, they get the lead with the J4 objectively, like he is providing something of value, and now why can't we get past the finish line? Because
Mm.
he's not going to be doing anything. And if like some of your best players are the jungler and it's on J4, then it's really cursed, right? Because
Yeah.
You can't
all of a
take the
sudden
gold.
all those
Yep.
resources
Mm-mm.
are lost.
Yep.
Exactly.
You can't take the gold, and you have to have follow up CC because once you get into the late game, you're not gonna land a normal EQ.
No.
It's just not gonna happen once people have tier 2 boots. You're just not gonna land a normal EQ. You need setup. You need a Leona, or you need like a Kennen, or
Yeah.
you need something to go in to really help the J4 out. It's just a very niche pick, but he's so like has so many niche like like options or like
Yeah.
things about characteristics that all those niches together bring out, I guess, a pretty decent champion. But I still think if you give Canyon Lee Sin Mad Lions, you guys are trolling. Do
Yeah.
not
The
give,
Lions have been trolling for a while this tournament.
yeah,
Oh
do
yeah.
not give Khalid or freaking Canyon Lee Sin. Like these guys are Lee Sin one tricks,
Yeah.
man.
Don't
Like,
do
oh
it.
my goodness, don't do it.
Oh man. Okay. Well, so that'll wrap up the meta discussion. Let me just leave, this final thought, final question to you guys. It's the most important question of this entire podcast. Really. Is TSM Bjergsen coming back? Because I saw that. Hear me out. Did you see the tweet with POE? Like, TSM does not have requiring a buyout. I mean, to me, it pretty much signals that they're trying to get rid of him so that they can bring Bjergsen back, who is a native, and maybe they can unlock something. I don't know what the strategy is here, but I'm expecting two moves. Bjergsen coming back in, and then somebody getting replaced.
Yeah, import ADC, or import top lane,
Yeah.
or I don't know if you want to keep Sword Art, yeah, or you ditch Sword Art, you import top lane and ADC. Woo, let's go imports.
Let's
If you find a
go.
native support, maybe
We're
try and
still
steal
broke,
both of them or
man.
something.
We're still
Yeah,
broke from that deal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're probably keeping Sword Art. I think it's gonna happen. I think
Okay.
uh I think Bjergsen was beyond tilted that they didn't make it to Worlds, considering they were first seed in the regular season.
He was probably pissed.
Spica was MVP, best jungler supposedly. Like, I would be tilted. I watching freaking PoE try to play Lee Sin mid. No, put me in. I can't do it.
Oh man.
Put me in.
Could see him just like antsy, ready to get in. Yeah, that'd be cool. Who do you think you think it would be lost then? That'd be gone.
I think they should still get a new top laner, but okay. Honestly, you can get if you can get Danny ADC, you import top lane for sure.
That's true. That's
If you can get a
true.
really solid native ADC, you import top lane 100%. If you can't though, you try to maybe find either Huni to be like you play weak side, that's your life, but
Yeah.
let's get a sick ass bot laner.
Yeah.
I don't know though. It's hard. It's hard to say because I
I
think
think
they
it's
want
hard too,
Reckless.
again, because you don't know what the meta is going to be like
Uh-huh.
next year too.
You
Because
don't know.
You don't
is it going to be bot lane focused or top lane? You could probably get away with a mediocre role if that role is not as important. So
You also did see, we've seen some of the preseason. We haven't talked about it much, but
yeah.
there's some new dragons. Whenever there are new
Mm-hmm.
dragons, and if they are broken, bot lane is much stronger.
Much stronger.
So
Yep.
maybe you do want
Yeah.
Reckless in bot lane to contest those super
Oh.
OP dragons.
Apparently he's
Yeah.
going back to Fnatic. Just kidding. All that drama. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still possible.
Yeah.
Still possible.
Yeah.
Never stop relationships from being, reformed again and again. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It
But
doesn't seem like a reckless thing to do to move to
yeah, to North
NA.
America.
He would only come to TSM if Fnatic actually deliberately said, no, we don't want you. We're keeping upset, right?
Yeah.
That would be the only. Otherwise, he's going back to Fnatic, or he would even like he'd go to another European team, maybe. Like,
I don't know.
I do we want to let's finish this TSM. There's
All
another cool
right, all
rumor.
right. Kevin,
Yeah.
what do you think? You think Bjergsen comes back? They make another
I
important
think he
move?
comes back. He has a duty as a shareholder of TSM to make
Yes.
sure that they keep up their value as an organization,
Right.
and PoE is not doing that for them. He's not into
No.
it, but he
No.
doesn't provide that value. Bjergsen, it's such a waste for someone who was playing at the level he was still playing at when he retired
Yeah.
to just sit there and watch. Like, I think he felt internal pain. Like, people are very competitive, and when they see like friends or even like people they don't know playing at a much lower level, will feel like some like
Yeah.
vicariously feel pain through the things they're watching. Like, I could just do that better. So he almost certainly wants to take the control from the little brother, step
Mm-hmm.
in, and carry TSM to glory. Because at least when he was on the
Yeah.
team, they got worlds more often.
Mm-hmm.
And they would win things too. And he was always a pivotal player. He went 06, but before that 06, he was the best player like on that team and the best mid laner in his region. He was one of the best players in all of NA that year, like in 2020 when they went 06. He was
Yep.
playing out of his mind. Like, it's another thing to say Doublelift, right? Who was genuinely
Yeah.
playing worse than he had ever played in his life. Bjergsen was at the top of his game when he retired.
Yeah. He's still
Like, oh
good.
my goodness. So
Okay.
I think if he
Well.
comes back, he said it on stream himself. I've been retired all year, and I can play against the MVP of NA, as in Spica, and just crap on him in mid lane without even
I
trying. That's the level of talent he has
love
in his
it.
pocket.
I love
Yeah,
it. That's how you talk.
I
That's how
love
you
it.
do it. All right, Mitchell. What were you gonna say? You had a thought that was lingering.
So Hansama
Uh
looked
huh.
absolutely incredible this
Yes.
year. We're almost positive Reckless is leaving G2. There's been a lot of G2 Hansama rumors. I think that would
Ooh.
be crazy. Reckless, great player, always seems to not have gel with any team other than Fnatic.
Yeah. It's
Hansama's been
interesting.
around the boat. I would love to see Hansama and Mickey X just. Well, I don't know if Mickey's gonna be on the team anymore, but Hansama, ooh, sheesh, he
Yeah, that'd
was
be pretty cool.
crazy at Worlds on a collapsing team, playing against some really good players. So
I've been watching his
yeah,
stream too. He's freaking good, man.
he's
Like,
so good. Hansama almost beat Don by himself
yeah.
with 4 dead weights, right? Just Lucian
Four
Nami.
dead weights.
I would
Four
Like,
argue he probably
paperweights.
was the best performing AD carry, at least in group stage of the whole
Mm-hmm.
tournament. Like, in terms of standout, and you kind of
Yeah.
have to stand out when you're like on a losing team, so you
yes,
stand out more, right? But
Mm-hmm.
he was really good, and
Cool.
he's
his
been like
mechanics were
on and
so
off
crisp.
very good historically, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
So
he has been on and off, but his mechanics were absolutely crisp. Like, maybe making a few little less mistakes there, he takes Donwon's only loss for sure in that one road game.
Yeah.
So I think that would be hype. It'd be real sad to see him come to NA, but that would be cool too. You can come to NA,
TSM. Come to TSM. We're about to have an open ADC spot, man.
Ooh, you could have TSM
TSM. Let's
Hansama. Yeah,
go.
maybe
Yo, that
TL
would be.
Hansama. You know.
Nah, forget TL, Kevin. You've had your
if it's
time.
Hansama and they somehow keep Alfari,
Bruh,
we
you've
can't.
had
You would
your
have a
moment.
split roster.
Yeah, you can't because they have Alfari and Core JJ.
Yeah, it's
So
TSM's
Although
time.
Alfari might be leaving too, which we'll talk about later in another episode.
Yeah, we'll definitely have more episodes on speculation rumors as NA definitely
beautiful
their
times.
year is done. Time for all the moves to happen and us to overhype things and then underhype things.
Hey, off season is super fun though.
Yeah, it
Off
is.
seasons has been a banger every
Yes.
single year. It
I'm
started
here
with
for it.
Caps going from Fnatic to G2. Every single year since then, it's been an absolute banger. Like freaking Reckless coming over, freaking Perks coming over, just so many banger
I mean,
roster
just think
moves,
about it.
dude.
If Bjergsen does come back, he'll be going up against Perks. That'd be tight.
Yeah. Oh
That
my
would be
God.
awesome just to see.
I want Bjergsen to gap Perks so hard.
Oh,
I
man.
would absolutely love it.
Oh,
Please gap
gosh.
the crap out of Perks.
Dude, I'm actually ready
This shit
for
is
next
essentially
season.
NA at this point.
Yeah.
Like, legit. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like how we tried doing be as Chinese. Like,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
league Chinese, because he grew up here. He did
Yep.
almost all of his play here.
Yeah,
Talk
definitely.
about jungle mid though, right? Blabber or no, not Blauer, Spica
And
Bjergsen.
Bjergsen?
Oh my god.
Especially
dude,
as
bring
good
it
as
back.
Spica
If
is
I'm a
now.
mid laner as a coach and I see like the MVP jungler I'm coaching for, and then he's just like his mid laner's not using it, you're like, oh, I would really like this guy to be my jungler.
Yes.
I could see it.
Yep.
Honestly,
I really
this
want it to happen.
this was like, even though this was maybe not the year for Bjergsen meta, right? This is the worlds for Bjergsen meta. Just like focus
I
mid lane,
know. Yeah.
camp mid lane, play Syndra, play like, actually you can actually play control mages, right? Twisted
Yeah.
Fate. Bjergsen has a great Twisted Fate. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, man. And then
Well,
we get stuck with PoE trying to play Twisted Fate and Lee Sin mid lane. And it's like, where's our Zir meta, Orianna, and freaking Victor meta?
PoE.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I mean, I hope PoE. I mean, I know I was hating on him when he first came, but I really do wish the best for him. But come on, man, we got to bring Bjerg back. Is there any final thoughts you want to put out there before we wrap this one up? Y'all good?
Just man, rip the West, man.
Rip the West.
Real close games.
R.I.P.
against Good teams, but we just could not.
It was a good year, though. I think for the West.
It was a solid year.
Solid year, man. I think
solid year.
to me at least. Well, I'm thinking of NA, so it was a solid year for NA.
Our
That's all
best year
that's all I care
since
about.
2019 MSI, right? So
Yep.
It's been 2 years. So
Okay.
not bad.
Well,
I mean, I don't think it was RIP NA. I think it was RIP EU. I'm gonna be real. We did.
yeah, we did. Yeah.
We did more than fine. A lot of our groups we were hard, and they were hard, and we did decently.
Yeah.
And well, to be fair, we had an easier match in the quarters. But either way, we did fine. I think NA. has
No,
improved.
Kevin,
Yes,
we are
more
better.
importantly, we've improved. LEC
Yeah.
did
We
not
have.
improve.
Yes,
Mhm.
we
So-
took after their players and we improved. Without G2 and without Fnatic imploding, you would have done a lot better. I promise you, G2
I
makes
am results-based analysis, and I will die on that road.
I mean, yeah, it is Fnatic G2 that we've seen the success from. We still need other EU teams to, prove
If Fnatic
themselves.
didn't implode, they make it out of that group. 110%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
There's no
Well,
Hanwha life. There's still.
Well, you never know. There was still drama with Bwipo and the organization, his girlfriend, and all that stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was related to upset. It might have been. We will never know, right?
We won't know.
He did a tweet longer where he said there was drama between him and his girlfriend before the upset thing, but the upset thing caused the collapse, where it actually
Yeah.
was the tipping point. So,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just true. Okay.
Did
Yeah.
you read his tweet longer? It was very
I did not.
depressing. He
That
said he
sounds
basically
very
said
depressing.
he basically said he's retiring. It was very
Mm.
uncertain words. He either said he's definitely off Fnatic for sure. But we
Yeah.
don't know if he's retiring from Fnatic or retiring period. So
All right, we'll talk about this next.
It's
episode.
time to
Off-season.
speculate.
Episodes
Yeah.
Oh
before
yeah.
off-season, but,
Yeah.
oh
All
my,
right. Well,
that was spicy.
guys, thanks again for all your contributions. You guys say some really smart things, and I like it because I always go by my heart now, and my heart's telling me Faker T1. Let's go. Do it for the old guys. But that'll wrap it up for us tonight. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at questions@theallinpodcast.gg, or you can tweet us at theallinpodcast. Again, thanks, guys. But until next time, enjoy your climb on the Rift. Try not to be too toxic, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Peace.